Shalom, shalom, Israel. This is your brother Eric. I'm going to interrupt this week's teaching to address a certain individual that has been causing sin, hell, and the devil throughout the internet. He's just like all these other ones that I've seen before. And now this was sent to me by my pastor, Charles Dow. And this wolf and hyena jackal's clothing, vocab Malone, is out there doing what they all do. These men that aren't sent by the Most High Yah to be a master builder, they build on the work of another. And he admits in these videos that he does that he goes and seeks out these people that profess to be called Hebrew Israelite teachers. Now, I don't know any of these other teachers. I know Pastor Charles Dow and Straightway Truth Ministries, of who I'm a part of. But he goes out and he builds upon their ministries by using their face, using their websites, using their names in order to get his name put out into the forefront. And that's all he does is try to go and just be a leech and a gnat and a parasite upon all these people. Whether you agree with their doctrine or not, why don't you get a life if you think you're so anointed and preach out of this instead of going and preaching off what everybody else is talking about? But when I see you out there talking, I don't hear hardly a scripture come out of your mouth that makes any sense to me. And here's what I heard in this video, talking about the Hebrew Israelites that are coming up to the truth of their heritage and realize this is their book. This is written about their family. You can easily see it from beginning to end that this is about one people that the nations can cleave to and become reborn and become an Israelite. But he's only the God of the Israel. He's not the God of the Jews. He's not the God of the Gentiles, the Hudim, the Greek. He's only the Elohim of Israel. He says that the Hebrew Israelite movement is leeching off the Christian church. Isn't that the biggest, most hypocritical comment you've ever heard in your entire life? Christians have done nothing but leech off the heritage of another people. They practice replacement theology and put themselves as the people of the book. Yahweh has the people that he was sent to. And it's the lost sheep of the house of Israel, his firstborn son. That's who Yeshua was sent to. I am not sorry to tell you that Abraham, the father of the faith, was not a Christian. He was a Hebrew. I am in no way apologetic to tell you that his son Isaac also was a Hebrew. And I am no way going to tiptoe around the fact that Jacob was a Hebrew whose name was changed to Israel as one that struggles with Yah and overcomes, who gave birth through polygynous marriage to the 12 tribes of the house of Israel. Now, what are you going to do about that? And you have Judah, one of his sons, who Jesus Christ came through. And Yeshua, who never even heard of the practices of Christianity, never preached any doctrines or principles or customs that comprised and made a religion called Christianity that was supposed to bear up his name. And none of his disciples preached such a religion. Paul, the Apostle Saul, never talked about this faith. In fact, he was proud of the fact that he was a Hebrew of the tribe of Benjamin. Paul plainly upheld the law. He was keeping the feast days. You see it in Acts. You see James saying, go down and participate in this Nazirite vow to show them that you do not preach against the Torah. Also going over into 1 Corinthians, he's telling you to keep the Passover feast. He's giving you instructions on how to do it and that Yeshua is your Passover lamb. See, all of this Christianity is made up. It didn't come till 300 years after the first council in Jerusalem, on which James, Peter, and Paul are all a part of. It came later under Constantine, who had the Council of Nicaea, on which not sat one Hebrew Israelite commandment keeper. Not one. But what's neat about history is that they were so cocky and they were so arrogant that the Caliphicos Church, the Universal Church, that was the Council of Nicaea, was so arrogant that they recorded all these dissenters of the faith. Because in the first century, they had followers of Yeshua. They were called the Nazarenes. This was a name placed on them. In John 18:5, it says, answered him, Yeshua of Nazareth, and Yeshua said unto them, I am he. and also Judas, also which betrayed him with them. Acts 24 verse 5. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a remover of the sedition among the Judeem throughout the world, a ringleader of the sect of Nazarenes. Because remember, at Antioch is where they first coined these names like Christian and many such bywords and derogatory terms that they would put upon Yah's people. In the 11th century, as late as the 11th century, the Cardinal Humbert of Silla Candida referred to a sect of Nazarenes, a Sabbath-keeping Christian, they call it body, existing at that time. Modern scholars believe it is the Pasagini who are referenced by Cardinal Humbert, suggesting the Nazarene sect existed well into the 11th century and before. Check it out again, 12th to 13th century, because I thought we had nobody Hebrew Israelite commandment keepers until just about 20 years ago. I thought, according to vocab alone, that this is some relatively new movement. Well, let's keep going. The Pasaginians, also spelled Pasaginians, were a religious sect which appeared in Lombardy in the late 12th or now 13th century, and possibly appearing much earlier in the East. The Summa Contra Hereticos, ascribed to the Praepositinus of Cremona, describes the Pasaginians as retaining the Old Testament rules on circumcision, kosher foods, and Jewish holidays. In other words, they observe the law of Moses, accept and respect to sacrifices, and thus were given the name circumcisi. There's another name that we got for these people. So it's all over history because of the arrogancy of the Catholic Church to preserve these records. And I thank y'all for it. Because now you have these self-prescribed scholars and teachers like Vocab Malone that don't know anything about historical documentation concerning the commandment keepers. Why? Because all he wants to do is ride on the coattail of somebody else.
Oh, hallelujah! Glory to the King! And I am power!